Alrighty, welcome back. So today I wanted to review another pistol of mine. I've been kind of getting the itch lately again, and every once in a while I just kind of want to make a video, So I'm going to review the Tisas Regent BR9. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that looks a lot like a high power. This is not a high point. Looks a lot like a high power, right? And you would be correct in assuming that this is in fact a high power clone made by Tisas, which is a Turkish company. Now, say what you want about the Turks, and their guns and everything else. I've heard all the arguments, and me being as familiar as I am with, Turkey and how everything works there, there are some legitimate concerns. Yes, they are not our friends, despite the fact that they're listed as a NATO ally, right? They're not our friends. They haven't been, and they probably won't be for a very, very long time. If you know anything about history, Turks tend to be pretty disagreeable when it comes to world affairs. So they don't have a great track record, let's just put it that way. But they do make a lot of interesting guns, and this just happens to be one of them. So if you know anything about high powers, it is a little bit of history about these things is this was supposed to be like Browning's next latest best greatest design ever, and he died before he could finish it, so his apprentices had to take over, and I forget their exact names. You can look it up yourself. It's something I want to say it's something very Belgian and something very unpronounceable. So but yeah, he had some other dudes finish up his work for him, and the result was a Browning high power. Now, this is a all steel frame, all steel gun, 9mm. The original magazines only hold 13, but you can get Met guards that hold 15 that are the exact same size. So it fits nice and flush here at the bottom. Now, so I think it was, I want to say 2018, that FN in Belgium decided that they were not going to make high powers anymore for whatever reason. I'm going to assume it's because the really, really high cost of making an all-steel pistol like this, and also because the tooling for these things is probably so worn out, so beaten, so used, that they just, it wasn't feasible to make these anymore, which, considering Belgium's history and when these are made, pretty much right before the start of World War II, and Germany invaded Belgium and basically took everything from them. It's easy to see why the tooling and expertise necessary to make these pistols is either not there, or is wearing out so much now that it is not feasible to make these anymore. So whatever the reasons were, they're not making them anymore. So finding high powers now can be a little difficult if you're trying to find a new one. The surplus market is full of them, and you can find them in all different kinds of conditions, all different kinds of time periods, eras, makes, models. Whatever you want specifically, you can probably find it, provided you have the money. So if you want super duper Nazi marked, freaking crazy high power that has all the Waffen-Ops and everything on it, you're gonna pay a really pretty penny, and you're probably not going to shoot it a whole lot. So I told myself, you know what? I really like high powers, and I really wanted to get one, but I didn't want to pay crazy, collector prices for essentially a collector gun. So I was just doing some research and finding out, what the average price is for even like a surplus beat up one is, and basically it came down to a really beat up example of a high power. Like a Mark II or Mark III would come out to around $500-600, and I wasn't really feeling it. But then Tisas comes along with their Regent BR9 pistol, which I've seen on Brownells, often, and I just didn't know what to make of them, because Turkish gun manufacturers can vary immensely in the terms of quality control and the kind of stuff that they make. So I just didn't know what to make of it. I didn't have enough to go on. There wasn't really a whole lot of reviews or research out there about these things, because they are kind of new. So I just didn't know what to make of them. But the price was excellent. So I actually found this one in a local gun store for about $550. It's about what I paid out the door. And they also have a stainless model, which I didn't know stainless high powers was like this super awesome great thing that a lot of high power collectors you know, they cuff it so much and they really, really want a stainless high power for some reason. But you know what? I decided I have enough stainless guns, or pistols anyways. I want like a black kind of military-ish looking model. That's what I went with. And it's a little bit cheaper too. So picked it out, got it, and I have to say it actually felt really good in the hand. And so these originally ship with like a Turkish walnut kind of wood grips, but I replaced it with the Pachmayr signature grips because those are some of my favorite pistol grips of all time. And these are no exception. I mean, just look how sleek that looks with the nice black and the little medallion there and the grip and everything, you know. It just, I don't know, I think it looks better than just the plain old, you know, wooden brown grips. It just looks nice, you know. But funny story about these grips is they are so tight, and they were designed for Browning high powers, not Tisas Regents, right? So Regents are ever so slightly different than high powers when it comes to the down to the like the thousandths of an inch, you know, measurements, whatever. They're just a little bit different from high powers. Are they better or worse? It's not. I don't really have enough expertise to tell you otherwise. But some people who are way more read up on high powers can probably tell you a lot more about that than I can. But so I could not get these grips on for the life of me because it is a one-piece wraparound here in the front, right? But it also has this little backstrap piece that is completely separate from the rest of the grip. So you need 3 hands basically to put this backstrap on, hold it in place, and then take the other grip, the other piece of the grip, and wrap it around and hold it on there while you put the screw in. I couldn't do that, so I took it to a smith and I said, "Hey man, can you help me out?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. Let me see it." And so I handed it to him, and he says, "Wait a minute, are those Pachmayr grips?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Why?" He's like, "Please don't ever bring one of these back again." I'm like, okay, I'm a little confused, but okay. So he takes it, you know, and he walks in the back, and about 10 minutes later, he comes back out, grips are on. He says, "That'll be $20. And I mean it when I say, do not bring those grips back here again. I'm like, why? He says, "You know how much of a pain in the ass that is to get these fucking things on here?" And I'm like, well, I can imagine. He's like, "Yeah, it was pretty tough. So $20, it's yours." Great, whatever. Give him the $20, whatever. So yeah, this gun feels absolutely amazing in the hand. The ergonomics in this are awesome. You know, it's just a classic gun. It just works. There's a reason why this gun has been so prolific in its history. Is because, you know what, it works, it feels good, it's just a good, solid piece. So what else can I say about this? So these guns are not they're not finished in a traditional sense. They're not like Parkerized, they're not blued. They actually come with this kind of like a sleek Cerakote black kind of finish, which when they said Cerakote, I was kind of like, well, that sounds kind of cheap, right? Like, how good can a factory Cerakote job be? Because I've seen some Cerakote applicators that do an absolutely amazing job, awesome. But I've also seen the complete opposite, where the Cerakote job applicator was horrendous. It was this thick, like nasty, like it wasn't even. It was gross. It wasn't worth the money that you probably would have paid to get it done. So I didn't have a whole lot of faith in the Cerakote finish when just looking at it at the website. But when you look at it in the store, you get it in your hand, it is actually really, really sleek. It surprised me at like the smoothness and like the quality of the job that they did on this is pretty excellent, honestly. And considering what I was going to use it for, which is semi collector piece, but mostly a shooter, because I wanted the experience of shooting a nice new quote unquote high power, right? Totally fine with me. I don't care. It looks good to me. It operates well. The finish has held up well for the 600 rounds I've put through it. No complaints. It's awesome. Let's see what other features. So this has I guess a ring style hammer, not the bladed hammer. So this supposedly doesn't give you any slide bite, but I have or hammer bite. Sorry, I have never really experienced hammer bite with any high power or other gun that's supposed to give you hammer bite. I've never really experienced that, so it's not been an issue for me. And I've kind of made the joke that you know, high power shooters must really have their hand like up here when they're shooting the gun, you know, because I've never experienced it. It's never been an issue for me, and I don't have small hands. You know, I have long fingers, but I don't have small hands, so I don't really get where that argument's coming from when it's like, oh, it gives me hammer bite. I've never seen it, never experienced it, so it must be them. I guess a negative about this this pistol is the sights. So the sights are actually dovetailed in there, and you actually can remove them. But as far as I know, as I'm making of this video, there is no like aftermarket sights that fit these dovetails. For some reason, in their infinite logic, Tisas decided to make these proprietary. So kind of a negative against them. I don't really like that too much, because if you ask me, the 3 dots on here, like, they're serviceable, yeah, but I would rather go with like a fiber optic or a target sight in the back, something adjustable. You know, that is my favorite style of sight, is an adjustable target rear sight, blacked out with a red or green fiber optic front sight. That's just what I like to shoot with. That's what I'm best with. But yeah, you cannot change these out for anything yet, as far as I know. All the other controls are pretty much regular high power. This has the really small, kind of tiny safety here on the one side, so you're gonna have to use the edge of your thumb here to kind of activate it up and down. It's not positive at all. It's honestly, it's kind of a crap safety. I don't like it, especially when compared to a really nice 1911 safety where we can really hear that kind of click, right? You don't with this. This is just it's very minimal. It's not great. But I also do not like the ambidextrous safeties that are on other models of high powers. I just don't. For some reason, the high power safety just doesn't vibe with me at all. So that's one complaint. Other complaint is, as with all high powers, is there is a magazine safety disconnect in this gun, which for the life of me, I actually tried a whole lot to remove myself. I tried taking out all these little pins in here, the trigger and everything, tried to get it out. I couldn't. So I had to find a smith to take it out for me, and the gun is, in my opinion, a whole lot better after having taken it out, because if you normally have your magazine disconnect in here, it affects your trigger pull a lot. It's gritty, it's nasty, it has to overcome that, and honestly, high powers are not known for their great triggers, and this one is no exception. The trigger on this one is honestly not that great for a single action pistol. It's functional, it works, but most 1911s will blow this out of the water. But back to the magazine disconnect. So the magazine disconnect is I've got Argentine Mauser parts all over the table. It's this little lever that sticks out that presses up against the. Let me get the mag out. It presses up against the front of the mag and kind of keeps it there. So when you actually go to eject the magazine, it rides against it, so the magazine does not fall free. I can't stand that. I don't want to retain my mags. I want those things to fucking shoot out of the gun when I press that button, right? So I got it removed, and now it just falls free. Awesome, great. Now you can also pull the trigger on this and have the hammer drop while the magazine is out, just like that. If you had the magazine disconnect safety in here, you could not do that, which I hate, because for me, administrative actions, I like to drop the hammer when the gun is empty and I put it away for storage. And I hate having to, I'm going to put the magazine in, okay, pull the trigger. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So, highly recommend getting the magazine disconnect safety removed out of these things. Now, some people would say, oh, it's a legal problem if you use it in self-defense. True, but if that's all they have to go on to really convict you for shooting a perp that's doing something bad, they don't have a whole lot to stand on anyway. So get yourself a good lawyer, and I think you should be just fine. What else? So, shooting experience. I have about 600 rounds through this, and I have to say it is actually quite accurate. I got with some 124 grain, I think it was hexagon gecko match ammo. This thing was hitting under 2-inch groups at 25 yards offhand, which is plenty accurate for for a pistol and for most people's abilities to shoot pistols. So this gun is plenty accurate. I've had absolutely zero malfunctions, zero failures with this at all, running any kind of ammo. And I've run standard brass case 115 grain. I've run 124s, 147 flat nose too. Defensive hollow points, all of it runs in here just fine. I've tried +1. So actually, I'll get back to that. I've run, let's see, Barnaul steel case ammo. I've run Tula steel case. I've run the Winchester steel case stuff. I run everything through it just to test it to see what would choke this thing up. Nothing choked it. So I will say though, back to the +1. So another test I like to do for pistols is testing the +1. So what that means is I'll load the magazine up to full capacity, but then I will take this, lock it open, and I'll actually take a round and there we go. I'll take a round and drop it inside of the port here into the chamber, and I will drop the slide. So now it's hot, it's loaded, and then I'll put full mag in, fire it, see how it functions. Because a lot of pistols, believe it or not, will actually have trouble doing a +1 because it's so jam-packed and tight in here that it will cause timing issues. So the issues I had with +1 with this gun is that if it's open like this and you try to drop one in to single load, when you try to send the slide home, it will not seat into battery fully. It'll actually get caught and get stuck trying to close. It won't close all the way. It'll stick back just a tiny bit. Kind of, let me see if I can show that. Kind of like a little bit back like that. And I want to say it's the extractor claw is having difficulty jumping over the edge of the rim of the case, but I can't say for sure. I didn't really test it a whole lot, but I did notice that every single kind of ammo that I tried to do a +1, it would not take a single load on an empty chamber like that. So the way around it was I would load the magazine up to full, insert it, drop the slide, and then take the mag out, load another round in the mag, and then put it back in, fire, and it worked just fine. So you can do a +1 with this, but it will not close on just a single load through the chamber for whatever reason. Just something I noticed. What else to say about this pretty cool piece? Would I recommend it? Yeah. If you're looking for the high power experience, and I gotta say this thing actually really does, it shoots really nicely. The trigger's not great, like I said. There's the reset is almost non-existent. But considering it's a big old heavy steel gun, this thing just doesn't really move a whole lot. The recoil is almost nothing, and it's just a real pleasure to shoot. So if you really want that high power experience, but you're not really interested in buying a beat up surplus gun, or you're not interested in paying collector prices for some of the really nice high powers out there, Tisas really does make a nice offering. And I totally recommend it because I haven't really seen, a whole lot of major issues that would drive me away from it that, have bothered me so much to the point that I wouldn't buy it again. And they offer the stainless model too. So a lot of people really like stainless high powers. And, I can see the appeal. Stainless guns are cool. But the black one is just nice too. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you want the high power shooting experience, but you don't want to pay collector prices. These are about as new as you can get, aside from the last production models of the FN high powers, and yeah. And also, I think these are a little bit better made than the I think it's Hungarian clones that they make of these, the FEGs. I want to say it's a Hungarian, but there are other manufacturers out there that make high power-ish clones out there. But honestly, this one just feels more authentic to me than the others do. At least as authentic as a Turkish clone can be, right? So, yeah, I like it. I definitely enjoy it, and I think it's worth the money that I paid for it. So, if you're looking to get one of these and you're on the fence about it, or you don't know too much about Tisas and Turkish guns and stuff like that, or you have some kind of aversion to Turkish guns, you're kind of denying yourself a pretty fun piece like this, honestly. So, totally recommend it. Don't pay too much for it, but for the price I paid for it, $550 for this model, I like it. So, I recommend it. And yeah, so if you're looking for a high power, I don't think you can go wrong with one of these. But I have a sample size of one, so take that with a grain of salt. Do your own research, make up your own opinions, and I guess don't take my word for it, but I am just another experience out there that you can draw from, and maybe convince yourself that, hey, maybe I do need one of these high powers, So, yeah, that's all I can say about that.